Okay, welcome. We're going to finish up today with LE Chapter 3, Lesson 1, Understanding Your Attitude. We're going to talk about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're going to talk about influencing your actions and your reality of your attitude on your actions. Everybody needs to be looking at page 100 in your LE2 book. Technical difficulty here, please. Let me get this up. Come on, baby. Let's work. I guess it does help to have it turned on, huh? All righty. Page 100, 101. Potential, maturity, personality, attitude. Ooh, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good at all. Perfect. Perfect. Let's try that again, guys. Huh. That doesn't look good. Let's try that again. Maybe if I deselect those and I say engage. How is that? Perfect. Yes, perfect. A little more centered there. All right, good job. Okay, we're going to go over and make sure everybody knows. Let's see, last time I had the introductory to this, I talked about some of the poor decisions I made as a high school student. What was the poor decision I made?
You stole your mom's car and went to the beach.
I stole my grandma's car and went to the beach. That was not cool. I did get caught, and as soon as I got caught, I fessed up, admitted my mistakes, and never drove the car again. I got hammered. It was a good decision on my mom's part. What about a good decision I made as a high school student?
Telling him you cheated on the test.
I cheated on the test, but then I did fess up and tell the teacher. All my buddies hated me except for one of my friends. I'm actually still friends with her. But that was not a good time that I succumbed to peer pressure, but I overcame it. In this, we're going to start talking about, let's see, one of the best parts here I like is the fact that growing up and interpreting your life experiences really turns you into the adult that we all aspire to do. You guys will all be adults at age 18, right? But does that mean you're going to act like adults at age 18? There's a theory, at least for guys, that our brains, teenagers' brains, keep developing at age 22. You heard that?
That was 25.
At least I've heard it's 22. Okay, 25. I don't know. That's pretty good. If you think about the fact that at age 18 you can go to war, male and female. My brother, who actually came in here and talked to your class, was on YouTube. At age 18, he was flying helicopters in Vietnam. It's kind of crazy. And your brains are still being developed. Your potential is what's your promise? Is you're still figuring out that. Maturity, meaning understanding how your actions and behaviors influence others. That is one thing that I talk about for those of you who went through my freshman course. The fact that, yes, I'm going to choose to go break the law. I'm going to choose to drink and drive. I'm going to choose to go up into the national forest here at Prescott High School and drink and get party and get caught by the cops. Yes, that does affect you. Those one actions can affect you for the rest of your life, but it doesn't affect just you.
No.
They affect your parents and your families. The people who drink and drive and kill themselves, or texting and driving and kill themselves, yeah, that really does stink for them. They're dead. But do you think that affects the rest of your life, your families, your mom and dad, and the people who care about you? I'm telling you, it's a fact. In flying jets, and actually yesterday was September 30th, I had a friend who died on September 30th, 1990, in the Desert Shield, is what it was called, the spin-up to Desert Storm. His name's Jim Poulet. His call sign was Boo Boo. And actually, I still have his picture on my desk. So here, 1990, and this is what? 2003, so that's 2013, so 23 years later, I still think about him. He did not make, well, he and his pilot, he got killed by his pilot. The pilot made a bad decision and killed both of them. But anyway, I'm still affected by the death of my friend to this point. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you look on page 103. This is kind of basic, not only psychology, but realizing your development as a mature individual. If you think about your physical needs there on the left, your psychological needs, we basically need food, water, and shelter at the first thing that you need when you grow up. When you're a little baby, you're a little kid, all you need is food, water, and shelter from your mommy and daddy. But also, you start to develop into needing personal and community security. That's why it's so horrible with these wars. I mean, like I said, I have a lot of friends in Bosnia who were Muslims, and they were all being killed by Christians. They had Christian tanks literally driving down their road. Imagine surrounding our courthouse and killing people. I mean, your security, your safety, your bottom part of your hierarchy of needs are being challenged. People in Syria today, they don't necessarily have enough food or water or security or safety. You're doing everything you can to support your family and your friends and keep them going. Your belonging, your love and belonging. After you have your physical safety and your basic needs met, you then start thinking about marriage, raising a family, belonging to the community. Then your self-esteem, your inner self, your personal stuff, your love and friendship with your families. This is kind of what we at ROTC attempt to give you members of ROTC out of the 2,000 kids, not 2,000, 1,800 kids we have here at the high school. We try to give you a sense of belonging with our family. You can eat lunch at our ROTC rooms. You can do extracurricular activities. We travel. We go to yesterday afternoon, we went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University to have a different type of experience with kids than you would have normally. We have teams. We have clubs. Because you want to build your self-esteem so that you feel good about yourself in trying to reach the top of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is self-actualization. Self-actualization is a big fancy word that I do not like. I do not know what it means. But from the book, it says the process of becoming what you're capable of becoming. And this should be your goal as an adult, member of society, a member of your family, member of your community, is being, like what the Army, be the best you can be. Be the person that you want to become and feel good about yourself. That will change during your lifetime. Okay, when I was a kid, I've told you the story. I wanted to be a basketball player. I thought I was going to be a basketball star. God threw me a curveball. I stopped growing. Everybody got bigger and better than me. I thought I was going to be a mathematician. I did really pretty good in math. But guess what? I went to college and it was too hard for me. So I became a civil engineer. Civil engineering is great. I can always have a job. I can learn how to build buildings like this. But then I had a passion of flying jets. And I really wanted to fly jets and do well in that. So I worked hard for 20 years to do that. And I did. And then after that, I realized that serving other people, for me personally, was better than serving myself. So my attainment of potential, after I accomplished all of this, was to come here to Prescott High School and start this junior ROTC so that I could help you guys have a different experience than you would never have had without me coming here and starting this ROTC. Now in the 8th year, with approaching 1,000 students who have been in here, I try to give you the opportunities that no one has ever had in the 100-year history of Prescott High School, and I feel good about myself. I feel like I've achieved some of my potential in helping you guys achieve yours. That's what the hierarchy of needs is talking about. You can draw it another way in the fact that psychologically, food, shelter, water, personal safety, belonging to your community and family, and then caring about yourself, as well as your actualization or achieving your potential to help other people. This is a hierarchy of needs. There's a saying that says one of the few things in life you can control is your personal attitude. And again, I have had friends that have gone through war and been the victims of war. And if you think about, well, I'll tell you what, one of the first people I ever met that had this happen was my grandmother's friend in my Lutheran church in South Carolina. She was a little old lady, but guess what? She was German. And during World War II, her family was threatened, and she and her husband and her 2 children literally walked from Germany to safety in Austria and then immigrated to America. And so if you think about your family having to walk from here to like California, okay, to get away from people killing you, what can you take with you when you go to another country that no one can take away from you?
Dignity.
Your dignity, but what is that going to help you make money in the next world?
Your skills.
Your skills, your education. No one can ever take that away from you. And her name is Ms. Carter. She was a doctor. And so she was a doctor in Germany. She was quite educated. She came to America. She learned a completely separate language. She passed the medical test, and she became a doctor in America. Nobody can ever take your education, and I submit to you that no one can ever take your attitude away from you. You made me feel bad. Does anybody make you feel bad? You can choose to feel bad because Gabriel just hit me or Cody dropped me. I can choose to feel bad.
That was his fault.
It was it wasn't my fault. It was always somebody else. Yeah, it's always somebody else's fault. Where are we on the self-actualization when it's always somebody else's fault? But I'm just saying, you have an attitude that nobody can take away your education or your attitude if you do that. There was a book that came out when I was a kid. I was born in '59, so I was 10 years old, 11 years old. This book came out. It's kind of a cliche. It says, I'm okay, you're okay. Basically, it talks about the fact that if you keep blaming other people for your actions, or you say that they're just lucky. You know what? I have a family member who's very fit, worked all their life to be very fit. And you know what? When they see that person, they go, you know what, Melanie, you're so lucky to have the body that you have. Are you lucky, or have you been working all your life to eat healthy, work out, lift weights? Is that luck? That's working hard, okay? So if you go through this and you have the attitude that I am okay, I feel good about myself, and you know what? Whatever you feel good about yourself, I really approve that, okay? Sometimes you make bad choices. I may not approve that, but you know what? Your bad choices aren't affect me because I feel good about myself and the way ahead. We actually just had a session that you guys can see online. Cadet Temple, your commander, I had an interview session with him. I put him up on my interview skills. He talked about some peer pressure that he underwent here at Prescott High School. My question to him as an interviewer was, tell me about peer pressure and how it hurt you. What did you learn? And how one where you had peer pressure and you did not succumb to it. You did not do the peer pressure. And he talked about a time that he did not go party with his friends. And his next statement was, and you know what? Those friends ended up going away. I wasn't friends with them very long. So what does that tell you? If you get tempted into doing something and you say no, and those friends aren't your friends for very long, what does that tell you about those friends?
They weren't true friends.
They aren't true friends, or else guess what? They have different values or different systems that you want to do, and guess what? You know, they may be doing it. How about you guys who wear our Air Force uniform in this non-military environment? If you have friends that kid you about your Air Force uniform, and then they're not your friends in a few weeks, what does that tell you?
Aren't your friends at all?
They're not as cool as you, and yeah, your friends may not end up being your long friends. They have different values. How many people here have had a friend or a family member who's had a toxic attitude? What does it make you feel like?
It makes you feel like you don't ever want to be around them because they're just too uptight. They don't want anything to do with you.
They're all negative, right? People being around negative people brings you down. And you know, there's the old saying, you can look up and see clouds, or you can look up and see sunshine. And there's also another setting that says, nothing great in the world was not accomplished without a good attitude. If you don't have a positive attitude that you can accomplish something, all the individuals in the world who have done things have not had a good attitude. When I was a kid and I wanted to fly jets, I was told that I could not fly. It's really hard to get a pilot slot. And I started thinking, you know what, but I really, really, really want to do this. I really want to fly jets. I got in the military, got into ROTC, and I got a pilot slot. And what happened was my dad died. And I went to the ROTC as a sophomore, I believe it was sophomore year, and I was just doing paperwork. And I was in my military my Air Force uniform, just like you guys, some of you guys wear, and I had my wings, which meant I was a pilot candidate in ROTC in college. And I was talking to a sergeant. And he goes, oh, I'm so sorry, your dad died. We need to erase him from your records, you know, he died. And I was going, yeah, it was really sad, it was last week. And he goes, okay, and I have you down here, you're a civil engineer. And I said, no, I'm actually a pilot. Where are my wings? Right here. He goes, no, we have you here as a civil engineer. And I go, wait a second. And he goes, yeah, I guess it was a clerical error. Somebody messed up an A and put a B, and you're not a pilot anymore. So within a few days, I lost my dad, and I lost my dream to become a pilot. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, that was kind of a bad day for me. But the bottom line was I worked hard in college, and of course I talked to the colonel. He understood it was a clerical error that they made, and I got my second pilot slot. So again, it comes back to the fact that if you have a positive attitude, and if you believe in stuff, and if you want something bad enough and somebody says no, then you know what? You're maybe talking to the wrong person. You can keep the value of positive attitude as a leader. And really, if you think about it, when things are going bad, that one person who stands up and says, we can do this stuff, that is your leader. Yesterday, out at Amarillo, we're going through leadership. Cody, you did this with some of these challenging elements is what they're calling, climbing over the wall. One of them is crossing a piranha-filled trench. And you have different leadership challenges, and you know what? Some of the kids are falling down. But having a good attitude and saying, yes, we can do this, or no, let's try something different, those are the way that leaders are born. Perspective. What is perspective, guys? Can I read? What's perspective? Page 107.
Perspective is the way you see stuff. The way, of seeing.
The way you see it. What does your perspective come from?
Still me? Okay.
Where does your perspective come from?
Experiences.
Your experiences. That's what this whole chapter is about, interpreting events and experiences. So if you were born in South Carolina, you have a different perspective than if you're born in Arizona. If your dad dies when you're in college, you have a different perspective than if your dad is alive, like some of you guys' dads are alive right now. You have different experiences. That's what you take from the world. It's your world view. If you're a Muslim in Bosnia and you're being killed by all Christians, what might you think about Christians? That they're bad, right? If you're a Christian in the World Trade Center and you're being killed by Muslims, what might you think about Muslims? They might be bad. Of course, that's your perspective. And you realize that everybody with the religion, or everybody from a country, or everybody with black hair, or everybody with yellow skin is not all bad. That's called maturity and growing up. Being fair-minded and realizing that everyone doesn't have the same perspective as you have can help you in your relationships with your family, with your studies, and with your relationships. One of the great things about today with the modern technology is when you disagree with somebody, you can go to the internet and find some other people that disagree with you or feel the same way you do. I mean, that's part of the miracle of having different views on the internet and realizing that your one specific view may be different depending on where you live and where you grow up. It will help you out. What does an open mind mean? What do it mean when I say you have an open mind? What does that mean?
You're open to like all different views.
So, if you're a Muslim and been killed by Christians, should you believe that all Christians are bad?
Not if you're open-minded.
Not if you're open-minded, exactly. Not if you realize that, yes, there are always bad people in every organization, every religion, every color, every culture, but just because... Matter of fact, I'll tell you one thing, a story. When we had 9/11, and we had 3,000 Americans, and really people from all over the world, killed by some radical Muslim, I had some Israeli friends. And the Israeli friends lived right across the street from me. What happens in Israel every day?
People die.
People die, right? And there are Muslims killing Christians, killing Palestinians, killing Jewish people. There are a lot of people being dying every day. And my Israeli friends come over and I go, well, isn't it horrible that we just had 3,000 people die? And he goes, oh, it's no big deal. It happens every day in Israel. What was his perspective?
He's been through a lot of that, so it doesn't faze him very much.
Exactly. So killing 3,000 people really is bad, but if he's grown up with his friends and his family from the different cultures dying, then, it wasn't that bad a deal. Okay? And so that gave me a realization that when you go through war your whole life, it's not that bad a deal. And you know what? Another example of that is the Yarnell 19. Right? We had 19 of our community members die. That's really horrible, right? Has that ever happened in Prescott? And Prescott was shocked by it. But what if you lived in Bosnia? And you've been through death and destruction all the time. 19? Not that bad. What about Syria today? How many people died yesterday in Syria? Dozens? Hundreds?
15.
Okay, so what is 19? Not that bad. So the fact that our perspective here in Prescott is so safe that we don't have bad government or bad people killing us, that the 19 people who died is horrible, but relative to other places and their perspective. So you need to, always keep an open mind, learn from your mistakes, and realize that people have different perspectives. Yes, Cody?
I was actually going to say that one of the people that died during the 19 was their mom goes to my church.
Yep, and everybody is completely affected by that. But again, in different parts of the world, people die every day. You don't know. Okay, your goals. You need to think about your goals directing your attitudes and your behavior. If your goal is to get into the military, would you like to think that you should be able to drink and party and be caught by the cops? No. Well, I'm here to tell you that sitting, not this room, but in my organization, I had a young junior who loved to party and drink. And he went out to the forest, and guess what? He got caught partying and drinking. So he got arrested for underage drinking. This same individual chose to go in the military, actually the Marines, and got in the Marines and did fantastic, right? But then he came up for a special assignment. His special assignment, how about give it to Cadet Salters here. His special assignment was to be assigned to the White House. Pretty cool, huh? And guess what? He didn't get the job. Okay? He didn't get the job because he had screwed up as a junior. So if you don't think that your actions right now as a high school kid is going to affect the rest of your life, you're wrong. I have seniors right this second who are applying for scholarships. Do you not think that your bad grades as a freshman, sophomore affect money-wise? They're going to be paying more money for college because they screwed up their freshman year. It's a fact. If you don't think your actions now affect your goals, you're just plain wrong. And it shows your immaturity. If you're a freshman and sophomore making bad grades, you think, oh, it's no big deal, it's just an F. I'll make it up. Well, guess what? That means you're going to be paying more the rest of your life because your grades are poor. It's a fact. Oh, you know what? I really like hanging out on Facebook versus studying because what's a D, C, D? Well, you know what? When you're a senior and trying to get money for college, you just screwed yourself over because you're making poor grades as a freshman, sophomore. It's a fact. It's a fact. And all the idea is trying to perceive that goal and accomplish your goals. Alrighty, we will stop right now and we will come back to this after the fall break. Room 10 Hut. Dismissed.